Howdy y'all, I am Ice Gold, and today we are going to be going over the first of the 7 schools for the PvP gear sets, and in this ever-evolving meta, this gear setup can sort of change as we go, but it has sort of stayed the same over the last couple years, especially with the gear templates and all of that just staying updated and everything, and I expect it to continue for at least a little while unless something like really groundbreaking comes out with like the Darkmoor update coming in the fall. So yeah, this will just be the gear setup video. I will go ahead and show you all the deck that I'm using at the moment, though I will say, like, we definitely see a lot of variation in this, just sort of as we go. Like, these Inferno Salamanders really should be Fires of Mars, but I don't have membership and I have not farmed the boss yet, so we're working on it. But this is just the deck that I use at the moment. If you're watching this, like, I don't know, 3-4 months in the future, it's probably not going to be accurate, but, you know, just doing as I do. But you're here for the gear, and that is what I will show you. So to start off with the hat, we have the Wastelander's Scorched Hat. I think the Dark Jester Fire Hat is the exact same stats, so just keep that in mind. That is going to be the best hat for level 170 PV. And of course, for the pins, you've got 7% Storm Accuracy, got to get that up, and then 6% Pierce, like just the punishing pins, pretty much. Storm punishing pins, always a good thing here, and that's what you got to do. I don't actually know if the Jester Hat gives a better item card, but I don't ever see it getting used, so I'm just going to assume it doesn't. It's not like you can really use this spell either. So next up is the Fervid Dreamstalker Armor, and this robe is by far the most popular for Fires because, you know, Fires used to use the Hunhau's Meteoric Mail quite a bit, but the Dreamstalker robe gives an extra 500 HP, which is just so good, and it's honestly just really amazing. And, you know, it's got the same pin sockets. You know, you want 2 Storm Accuracy pins and a Storm Punishing pin, definitely the move there. And yeah, so pretty much the Stalker robe, it also gives you some extra accuracy, which is not something that the Hunhau robe does. If you're using a setup with the Hunhau robe or the new Ghastly Conspiracy raid robe, I could check on that actually. I could check on what it's called, but bottom line is that the Stalker robe is definitely what you want for fire PvP, just because of all of the extra health that it gives you, and, you know, the extra accuracy. It all just, like, the Stalker robe works out pretty perfectly with the whole stat profile and all that, because hitting the stat caps is really what matters the most. So with that in mind, it looks like the Ardent Crime Fighters code is the new raid equivalent to Hunhau, in case you want to use that, but you would need to, you know, tweak your stats a little bit to get that done, and it gives Burning Rampage, which can be useful, but I personally don't use it. So, continuing with the gear setup, like I said, that's the robe, pretty good. For the boots, I've got the Xibalba Meteoric Boots. These give a Furnace item card, which is pretty nice. It's an extra aura that I could just use, but I mean, it's all in the stats. I mean, this is one of the most insane pieces of gear of all time. This is 43 damage, all that resist, accuracy, health, crit, block, shads. I mean, this is like the perfect piece, and the new equivalent is going to be the Ardent Private Eyes shoes. Yeah, you know, as you can see, it's the exact same stats, but I like the Furnace over the Elemental Blade, so, you know, you could... the Hunhau, or the Xibalba boots, are going to be way harder to get, so if you just want the stats, you could definitely go for the Ardent Private Eyes shoes, because those are much easier to get. The new raid, of course, being much easier than the Azteca raid. So, that's the boots. These are a must-have, whether it's these, whether it's the Faeriequeens boots, and the Faeriequeens boots also give a Moon Shield, which can be useful in certain scenarios. So, Xibalba boots, or the Ardent Crime Fighters boots, or the Private Eye boots, I guess they're called, for the stats as well. So, it's like you got 3 different, I guess, items of the exact same stat profile. So, you know, just get the one that's easiest for you. And one thing I will say before we get too far into this, raiding is pretty much required. I mean, you can get this from a rematch, you can get this just from Wallaru, but these you do have to raid for. And there's a good few other pieces coming up here pretty soon that you do also need to raid for, or at least open the Faeriequeens pack for. So, yeah, that's also just an important thing. I don't like that you have to raid, like absolutely have to raid to get into PvP, but fortunately the new Lemuria raid, the Ghastly Conspiracy raid, drops the exact same stat templates as, you know, the Hunhao and Jimbalba sets, but, you know, to each their own. Raiding is still raiding and can be hard to get into. Speaking of raid gear, Jimbalba Meteoric Sword. This is the wand that I use for, you know, level 170, gets me some extra accuracy, and 12 pierce and 30 damage. This is another insane piece of gear, and yeah, so the Ardent Attunement Rod is going to be the new raid equivalent, and this one might actually be better now that I think about it, because these are the item cards, Jimbalba over here, Attunement over here, and, you know, the extra furnace could be nice. I might have to look into getting this wand, as well as the elemental shield, and of course the wand hits are the same, so I guess the only thing is like a fire shield for a mirror, but you pack volcanic shields anyway with the deck, so yeah, I might have to look into getting this. I will say that the Ardent Attunement Rod, with that in mind, is the better between these two. So you don't really have to worry about getting the Jimbalba wand necessarily if you care that much about min-maxing item cards. The Ardent Attunement Rod is better, for sure, because of the extra furnace, and the shield is, you know, whatever. So, for the Athame, next up, this is the Fervent Dreamweaver Knife. Fortunately, you don't have to raid for this one, but doing fleets 15 times is almost as grading, so yeah, but even still, you know, this is the one to go for. You get all of this health. I mean, it's the square socket, it's 25 damage, a 17 pip chance. It all just adds up nicely with the Fervent Dreamweaver Knife. There's also Selenopolis equivalents that drop. It's the same with the Stalker Robe, but I just have these from Wallaru because, like I said, the gear setup has not changed in moons. So, how about it? For the Amulet, I have the Hunhao Amulet, and this one, this isn't a piece that matters too much necessarily. Like the Reaver Amulets, you can just as easily use these and get use out of them. You just lose a bit of resist in pip conversion, but as a fire, you're not really leaning into that all that much, but it can be nice. So I guess if you don't care about dropping like 2 resist, you can get yourself like an extra 40 fire blade and an extra fire shield, which can be useful in conjunction with the Attunement Rod if you get that for the shield item cards. But I like the Hunhao Amulet rather, because it gives a fire dispel. Now again, the Ardent Crime Fighters clasp is the direct equivalent from the Lemuria raid. Gives Fireblade, but this trap dilution is... Whoever made the decision to put this on these pieces of gear should be fired, because this is an awful card. So it's like if you're getting this for the Fireblade, you might as well just use the Reaver Amulet at that point and not even go to the trouble. So I would say that the Hunhao Amulet for its fire dispel is the play, just because you don't have to pack it in main deck and take up space like that. So I like the Hunhao Amulet much more over the others, just for that exact reason. The Faeriequeens Amulet is similar, but it is the equivalent in stats to this. So, you know, same resist, but you lose just like a little bit of pip conversion. So I don't know, kind of up to you on what you want to do with that. But alright, next up is the ring, and this I can confidently say probably will never change again. And I know that might seem a bit presumptive to say, but the new rings in this quote-unquote template do not give a circle slot, they give a triangle slot. It's the Wastelander rings set that new precedent, but these legacy rings, these are the Skyfarer Horde Pack rings, and these... You can also farm these from the Meowiardi rematch in, like, it's like a crafted Arc 1 rematch type thing where it scales your level. It's like advanced content, that sort of thing, but it's not that bad. Especially when you bring 4 storms and just click Tempest over and over. That's how I did this one. But the bread and butter of this is that 22% pip chance. That is insanity. And no other ring gets close. You have the Dream Reaver ring, which will get you some more damage, but you're 4% shy on the pips. The Nullity ring also at least gets you up a little bit more damage, but then you're 2% pip chance shy of 100% pips, and 100% pips is so important, and having the Skyfarer ring is just absolutely the play, just because you get that 5th circle slot, and I mean, it's just the extra pip chance is why you use this ring over all others, and I don't expect this to fall out of the meta anytime soon. This piece of gear would have to get nerfed, or a better ring with the same jewel template would have to drop, and I just don't see that happening for a while. For the pet, I use this triple double mighty deadly null dragon. This is probably the most egregious case of raiding just being required, because this only drops from the Voracious Void Raid. Fortunately, the Voracious Void Raid is the easiest of the 4 at the moment, and there are roles in the Voracious Void Raid that, you know, you just kind of sit there with your dick in your hand and walk on the drum every 3 minutes, but even still, the drop rates are very unforgiving, as anybody who did this raid when it was like really up there can tell you. I walked through a teleporter apparently, and yeah, so the Dark Pact card here is the reason why this is so good, because it gives you 3 copies of this card that can take off a single weakness and give you 2 35% blades, which is kind of insane. And it's kind of hard to describe. It's like, I think it's just inexplicably strong. And having it on this particular pet body is just so good. And I mean, it kind of speaks for itself, just having this as a quote-unquote weakness counter, in the sense that it counters a single weakness by just sort of taking it off and giving yourself 35 blades. It's pretty good, and that's what I would recommend 8,000,000% of the time. And the only other alternative that I could say exists right now most probably is going to be the Lord of Summer, specifically because it gives an extra Wildfire Bubble card, and bubbles matter a lot right now. But at any moment, these could have the Ratbeard effect happen to them, and pet bubbles as a whole can get banned from PvP. So sort of make this at your own risk. I would say, like, this is more meta proof for the moment. So yeah, Deadly Null Dragon, that's going to be what you want. For the mount, I'm about 21 over bag space without a membership, but I used the Clockwork Courser mount. Let me just walk through that exact same teleporter again and go to all that trouble, because the Clockwork Courser mount gives an extra 2% pierce. And as you'll see from the stats, which I really should have shown at the beginning of the video, pierce matters a lot. Fire's pierce cap is 67, so or 68 rather, but this setup gets you to 67 if you have the Courser. As you can see, an extra 2% pierce from the Clockwork Courser. The Vulpine Avenger from whatever bundle that was also gives you 2 pierce, but you know, as long as you have one or the other, it's good. So for the Clockwork Courser is not a fun thing to go get though, if you don't already have it, because it'll come back around to the crown shop every now and then for like 7,500 crowns, which is kind of insane, and it was a bundle mount to start off with, so kind of wild, but it is absolutely worth getting. It is the mount to use as a fire, because even with it, you're one off of the pierce cap, so you know, it's just something to always keep in mind. So Clockwork Courser, the definitive mount to use as a fire. For the deck, I personally use the Hunhaus Meteoric deck, but realistically any circle deck will suffice, although ideally you're going to want one that gives you 62 Archmastery rating, just because it's like the difference between the Dream Reaver deck and, say, the Fiery Chrysanthemum deck, which is also actually very easy to get. This drops from Takanobu the Masterless, a gold key boss in the Cave of Solitude, and this deck is also very, very good. But like I said, the difference in Archmastery, like over time, it's gonna add up because you need to have the same Archmastery rating as your opponent or higher than your opponent in order to gain school pips every single round. So if you're using a deck with less Archmastery, then you know the first round that you get a pip, you're not going to get that pip. It's going to be that round after, and then every, like, I don't know, 15 to 20 or so rounds after that, it could screw you over at the worst of times. So I would recommend getting this Fiery Chrysanthemum deck, the Gold Key deck, from Takanobu the Masterless. Lambent Fire also has a version, an exact carbon copy of this. So just anything that gives you that 62% Archmastery, or not 62%, but 62 Archmastery rating and a circle slot will be the play. Both of these are good. Both of these item cards are good in their own right. Dark Surge, having an extra one of these, always really good. But I like this Tier 5 Inferno Salamander just because I get it for free from this deck. So there is that. And I think that's kind of it. I don't really think that there's anything else to sort of go over. You know, it's this is just all of the gear and, of course, the stats. Although there is one last thing that I do want to mention, and that is the fact that you do have a 1% chance to base fizzle spells like your Shads, spells like your Lore spells, and your Gambits, which I don't actually, or I pack one of those. So Lore spells, Shads, and Gambits, you have a 1% chance to fizzle them. Hasn't happened to me yet, but I imagine it will eventually, so just pray that doesn't happen to you. But yeah, there's no real way to get it up there without severely giving up immense amounts of stats elsewhere. Like if I were to use, that's like a way that I could get more accuracy. Like if I were to use a Triangle Socket Athame, like I would be giving up so much HP for that when I already don't have a lot. So that's a big thing there. So, and then of course if I were to change the 7% universal accuracy to a 16% fire accuracy, I would be way over on fire, but then I would have a pretty good chance to fizzle my storm spells like Catch of the Day and Triton. Triton, of course, being very, very important against the Life School, just because they heal a lot, and this is the best way to deal with that. So, and then Catch of the Day would also be kind of cataclysmic if you had just all of a sudden a 7% chance to fizzle it. So, yeah, overall, and also Frost Giant for the Myth matchup. But yeah, overall, just making sure you don't fizzle your counters. It's worth the risk to run this 1% off type thing. So take it from me. Just it's the way to go with the gear setup. So with that in mind, that will wrap up this fire gear setup. Thank y'all for watching. I've been Ice Gold. Stay tuned for the other 6 schools. They will be coming in the following days. But yeah, thank y'all for watching. I've been Ice Gold. Be sure to like, subscribe, and leave like 50 comments for the algorithm. My Discord is down in the description if you want to chat with me some more. Today's metallic treasures are revealed, and I will see y'all later.